from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Coming to you live from the National News Studio. Welcome to the news. My name is Clifford Richards.
And I'm Sharifa Tahir. A very good evening to you. We take a look at the headlines first.
The President expresses his regret to Japan for the suspension of the Colombo Light Rail Transit Project. Sri Lanka to obtain the membership of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership in the hope of economic liberalization. Acting Finance Minister says reports claiming that state bank loans have been written off based on acquaintances are baseless. The body of the late businessman Dinesh Shafta exhumed. A new plan to improve tourism industry in the Negombo town. Cathay Pacific fires 3 cabin crew over discrimination claim.
Moving on to the stories in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed his regret to the Japanese government for the suspension of the light rail transit project.
He made these remarks during the meeting held with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. The meeting of President Wickremesinghe with Prime Minister Kishida was held in Tokyo this morning. President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed his gratitude to Japan for its support in helping Sri Lanka recover from its economic crisis, thanking the Japanese Prime Minister for his assistance. The leaders also discussed new opportunities to enhance cooperation between Japan and Sri Lanka. During the meeting, President Wickremesinghe expressed his regret to the Japanese government for the suspension of the Colombo Light Rail Transit project, which was being implemented with Japanese support. The President emphasized the need for future legislation in the Parliament to ensure that bilateral large-scale projects cannot be halted or cancelled without the agreement of both parties.
I must first thank you and the Japanese government for all the help you have given us in this economic crisis.
President Wickremesinghe also met with former Prime Minister of Japan, Yoshihide Suga, and the President briefed the former Japanese Premier regarding the process which is underway to restore the economic stability in the country and invited Japan to be a part of the investments in the country yet again. A meeting was held between the former Prime Minister of Japan, Aso, and President Wickremesinghe, focusing on potential steps to strengthen the existing close and friendly relationship with Sri Lanka. President Ranil Wickremesinghe and former Prime Minister of Japan, Yasuo Fukuda, participated in a meeting organized by the Japan-Sri Lanka Association in Tokyo. President Wickremesinghe also met with the Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi, focusing on strengthening long-term bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and Japan, including increased cooperation in economic and cultural fields. President Ranil Wickremesinghe took the stage at the Nikkei Forum, Future of Asia, held in Tokyo today.
And during his address, the President emphasized the government's approach to the Indian Ocean and also the Asia-Pacific regions.
He also said that Sri Lanka is expecting to obtain the membership of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, also known as RCEP organization.
That A. Time is of essence in resolving the issues of debt sustainability, and B. The only option available for vulnerable middle-income countries is to seek the assistance of the IMF to ensure multilateral coordination and cooperation in debt restructuring. We have now started creditors' meeting and hope for a successful conclusion before the end of 2023. Sri Lanka is dedicated to ensure equal treatment for all creditors. We want this exercise to succeed because our experience will enable more middle-income countries to utilize the IMF in ensuring multilateral coordination for debt relief. Needless to say that we in Sri Lanka and many other Asian nations are opposed to economic coercion, whether it by one country coercing another using its economic power or by indirect methods. WTO system put in place 3 decades ago should not be bypassed for short-term geostrategic gains. Sri Lanka welcomes the pledge made as the G7 Hiroshima leaders communique to reject decoupling and its strategies in favor of economic resilience and the economic security. Most of the Asian nations prefer not to be involved in the Ukraine war, though some in the West decry this as an overextension of neutrality. Nevertheless, all of us must endeavor to understand and appreciate these different views and attempt to find a common meeting point so as to end this conflict after the predicted counteroffensive is concluded. US-China rivalry. Asia has become the crux of US-China rivalry. One thing is certain, Asian countries do not wish to be forced to manage competing pressure from these two sides. We in Asia don't want to choose between US and China. Many of us cannot make that choice because we have already made our choice, another choice, and that choice is Asia. We want an Asia that can accommodate the Indo-Pacific, the BRI, as well as the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. Sri Lanka is committed to multi-layered connectivity in the Indo-Pacific. Furthermore, we also support Prime Minister Kishida's principles for peace and rules for prosperity. In keeping with the rules for prosperity, Sri Lanka will apply for membership to the RCEP with the aim of achieving a higher level of economic liberalization. Conclusion. In conclusion, Sri Lanka welcomes the G7's announcement that they are prepared to build a stable and constructive relationship with China. This is essential, as espoused by Prime Minister Kishida in New Delhi earlier this year, when presenting Japan's new plan for a free and open Indo-Pacific. I quote, "In this context, Sri Lanka is the view that Japan, China, India and ASEAN should commence an open-ended dialogue among themselves and thereafter with the other Asian countries. This will be the first step in establishing a new framework for peace and cooperation in Asia." Thank you.
Well, the body of the late businessman Dinesh Shafta was exhumed at the Baseless Cemetery today. The body was exhumed by the Homicide and Organized Crimes Division, according to a court order.
The businessman Dinesh Shafta was killed at the Baseless Cemetery premises on December 15th last year. The judicial medical officers confirmed on December 16th that the businessman had died from strangulation. Investigations pertaining to the incident were carried out by several police teams along with the Baseless police, and recently the court ordered the police to exhume the body of the late businessman Dinesh Shafta. The court issued the order following a request made by a 5-member panel of physicians appointed by the courts. Accordingly, the body of the late businessman was exhumed at the Baseless Cemetery under heavy police protection. Police media spokesman SSP Nihal Thalduwa said that the necessary measures were taken to exhume the body in the presence of the relevant investigation officers, the magistrate, 5-member judicial medical officers, scene of crime officers and crime reporting officers. He also added that the body has been taken to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital for further post-mortem examinations.
Well, a special dengue prevention program was commenced in the Gumpa Town today. Drone cameras of the Sri Lanka Air Force were used for this program. Well, many tuition classes are being held surrounding the Gumpa Town, and therefore the number of dengue patients reported from these classes has significantly increased. Drone cameras were used to detect mosquito breeding places in high-rise buildings where classes are held. The special dengue prevention program was carried out jointly by the Sri Lanka Air Force and also the Gumpa District Health Services Office. The program was steered by the Western Provincial Governor's Office. Drone cameras were used to cover 2 square kilometer range in the Gumpa Town. After detecting potential dengue breeding spots on several buildings, the officials instructed the building owners to take necessary preventive measures immediately. The number of dengue patients in the Gumpa district has increased by 50%.
On the same note, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena advised the governors to take urgent measures to prevent the spread of dengue with intervention of all the relevant authorities. The instructions were issued at a discussion held at the Temple Trees today to discuss the progress of dengue control programs. The discussion was held with the participation of governors and other officials through Zoom. The Prime Minister emphasized the importance of collecting information about the spread of dengue in their jurisdictions and taking measures to control the disease. He said that priority should be given to preventing the spread of the disease through continuous implementation of programs carried out by the regional medical officers of health. The governors commented on the measures taken so far in the respective provinces to control the dengue disease and its progress. They mentioned that as there is a tendency for dengue mosquitoes to breed around construction sites, schools and places of religious importance, more attention will be paid to keep such spaces clean with the contribution of health and security sectors.
Acting Finance Minister Ranjit Singh says that reports claiming that the loans in the state banks have been written off based on acquaintances are baseless. He made these remarks during a parliamentary debate held today regarding several provisions under the Finance Act. Well, Acting Finance Minister Ranjit Singh said that newspaper reports have indicated that MP Kumarvelgam had claimed that the loans in the state banks have been written off based on acquaintances. Accordingly, he said that an immediate inquiry was made in this regard and no such program to write off loans has been initiated. He said that MP Ali Sabri Rahim was taken into custody for bringing 91 mobiles and 3.5 kilos of gold in an illegal manner. The minister said that as per the reports he had received, the parliamentarian had accepted the charges levelled against him.
Oil prices fell in early Asian trading today after uncertainty that the United States will avoid a debt default paid against the prospect of further OPEC Plus productions cut. According to foreign reports, Brent crude futures have slipped 0.1% to $78.31 a barrel. US West Texas Intermediate crude fell 0.2% to $74.18. Even though some progress has been made, several issues remain unresolved in U.S. debt ceiling negotiations as the deadline ticked closer to the raise in federal government's $31.4 trillion borrowing limit or risk default. Negotiators for President Joe Biden and top congressional Republican Kevin McCarthy reconvened at the White House yesterday to try to close a deal. Oil prices were also pressured by news that Britain's stubbornly high inflation rate fell by less than expected last month, according to official data that raised the chances of more interest rate hikes. In a previous session, oil prices were supported by a warning from Saudi Arabia's energy minister, citing that short sellers betting oil prices will fall should watch out for pain. Some investors took that as a signal that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies, including Russia, together called OPEC Plus, could consider further output cuts at a meeting on the 4th of June. Oil was also supported by an unexpected massive fall in U.S. crude oil inventories in the week of May 19th, reported by the Energy Information Administration yesterday. Minister Hari Fernando says that they will be able to bring down a record number of tourists into the country next year.
And also he says that making remarks while taking part in this blooming Negombo program held at the Negombo Municipal Council Auditorium. Well, this program was organized by Negombo Tourism Businessmen Association. The aim of this initiative is to streamline the development of the tourism industry surrounding Negombo. Plans have been made to initiate many projects with the support of the state and private sectors. The future projects have been planned by updating the preliminary plans formulated several years back by the Urban Development Authority under several stages, including long and medium term. A decision was reached to appoint a committee comprised of members of the Negombo Tourism Businessmen's Association and also the Ministry to implement and review the long-term plans. Venerable Professor Induragare Dharmaratanathera, Catholic priest, and State Minister Arundhika Fernando were present on this occasion.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira says President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed him to provide provisions required to extend relief for the farmer community. He made these remarks during a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that the ministry is working on starting a third season in addition to the two existing seasons in order to gain an additional income for the farmers. He said that the farmers will be able to proceed with the cultivation as the rainy season has started off and also adequate stocks of water is available in reservoirs. He also said that they have given TSP fertilizer free of charge. He further added that the private sector is selling fertilizer at higher prices. He said that there is no need for the farmers to purchase fertilizer at such prices as adequate stocks of urea fertilizer are available and MOP stocks are being distributed at present. The minister said that President Ranil Wickremesinghe has allocated 56,000 million rupees for the fertilizer subsidy. The minister also said that they have begun to cultivate dry chili cultivation in the country to save foreign exchange.
State Minister Shehan Semasinghe says the government will take all necessary steps to stabilize the economy of Sri Lanka. He made these remarks during a discussion held with the United States trade representatives for South and Central Asia at the Ministry of Finance yesterday. The State Minister during the discussion pointed out that a clear economic stability can be seen through the reforms carried out by the government within a short period of time. The government has already initiated programs required to restore stability in the country, preventing another crisis in the future. State Minister Shehan Semasinghe has said that the government led by the President is committed to formulate the monetary policies to free the vulnerable segments from extreme poverty and empower them accordingly. U.S. Deputy Trade Representative for Asia, Brendan Lynch, expressed his appreciation for the immediate steps taken by the government to achieve economic stability in the country. He said to note that the United States is ready to explore the potential investment opportunities in Sri Lanka and expand trade between the two countries. Additional Secretary of the Finance Minister, H.G. Sumanasinghe, was present at the occasion. The Committee on Ways and Means emphasized that a proper methodology should be followed in selecting beneficiaries for social security schemes.
Well, this was revealed during a discussion at the Committee on Ways and Means chaired by MP Partali Champika Ranawaka. The officials informed the committee regarding the Aswasuma welfare scheme to be implemented by the government from the 1st of July. Officials pointed out that welfare benefit payments will be made under 4 local and also social categories of transitional, vulnerable, poor and extremely poor, and related allowances will also be given to the disabled, elderly and also the kidney patients as usual under the scheme. It was revealed that more than 3.7 million applications have been received to obtain this allowance. Steps have been taken to provide the allowance for the people who are in real need from the first day of July. The chair of the committee emphasized that the World Bank has indicated that 30% of the recipients of the Samurdhi allowance are not eligible for it, and the beneficiaries of this scheme should be selected keeping that in mind. The committee also pointed out that the need for periodic evaluation of the beneficiaries benefiting for the insurance scheme.
Faculty of Agricultural Sciences of Sabaragamu University launched a chicken and poultry feed processing unit at a lower cost using local resources. It was launched with the participation of Vice Chancellor of the University, Senior Professor Udaya Ratnayaka. Professor Udaya Ratnayaka said that poultry feed materials have significantly impacted on the egg shortage as well as the high prices on chicken meat. It has been confirmed that the imported fish meal material price has significantly increased, causing the price hikes and shortages. As a solution, the chicken and poultry feed production has been initiated using local maize, paddy flour and fish waste. Professor Udaya Ratnayaka said that the poultry farm at the Agricultural Sciences Faculty of the Sabaragamu University sells an egg at a price of 46 rupees. He also said that with the locally produced poultry feed, they have been able to sell chicken at a price of 900 rupees. The new processing unit has been assembled using latest technology and equipment. Professor Dr. Sanjeeva Prasad Javira has taken the initiative for this new unit.
Officials attached to the Gonahena camp of the Police Special Task Force were able to apprehend 3 drug traffickers, one with a kilogram of ice drugs in their possession, and also the suspects have been identified as associates of 2 traffickers who operate a drug trafficking network from abroad.
Well, the raid was carried out in Marapan area in Ratnapura. In addition to the drug haul, the police have said that they have also apprehended 25,600 rupees in cash, 5 mobiles and also an electronic scale along with a motor vehicle. One of the suspects had been identified as an individual who assaulted a constable attached to the police task force with a sharp weapon during a raid conducted in Kotugoda Jayala on last 19th. A female suspect who was taken into custody by Panadura North Police with illicit liquor in her possession has died following a sudden illness. She was taken into custody in Diggala Panadura during a raid carried out last night. The police said that the suspect suddenly fell ill while being taken to the police with the contraband. The police had instructed to summon the family members of the suspect and proceed with the hospitalization. The family members of the suspect allege that the police is responsible for her death.
3 individuals have succumbed to wildlife elephant attacks in several parts of the country. The residents of these areas have urged the authorities to prepare a proper mechanism to address the human-elephant conflict. A 35-year-old farmer was killed in a wild elephant attack in one area in Kantale this morning. He had succumbed while receiving treatments at the Kantale hospital. Another individual had died from a wild elephant attack in Handapanagara area in Vallavai last night. The residents of the area had put in a massive effort to recover the body as the wild elephants had remained in the spot. The residents have claimed that they are faced with wild elephant threats for a long period of time. Meanwhile, 65-year-old individual was killed in a wild elephant attack in Tantrimal area in Anuradhapura yesterday. The residents of the area have said that more than 10 persons at the village had died from wild elephant attacks during a period of 1 year. A wild elephant had attacked a trade stall in Minirigama area in Min area Habarana main road. The residents have said that the wild elephant had attacked the trade stall this morning when they attempted to chase it away from a nearby land.
Well, the Pakistan High Commission in Colombo organized the Jinnah scholarship ceremony at the BMICH to award scholarships to bright and also deserving A-level students of Sri Lanka. The government of Pakistan has awarded these scholarships to Sri Lankan students of A-level since 2006. Well, so far, more than 2,400 Sri Lankan students have benefited from this program named after Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the revered founding father of Pakistan. Minister Viduru Wickramanayake graced the occasion as chief guest. During his speech, the minister highly appreciated the gracious gesture from the people and the government of Pakistan. He added that such efforts will be fruitful in strengthening bilateral relations between the two friendly countries. In his remarks, Pakistan High Commissioner retired Major General Umar Farooq Burki emphasized upon the importance of the relationship between the countries and aims at strengthening these strong ties. During the Jinnah scholarship awarding ceremony, certificates were awarded to the selected students. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, professors representing universities, and foreign envoys and political personalities were also present at this occasion. Well, that's the news at home. Time for a short break, and we'll be back with international stories shortly.
We move on to news overseas now. Cathay Pacific Airlines has fired 3 flight attendants after a complaint that they had discriminated against non-English speaking passengers. They were sacked after an audio clip of the cabin crew apparently mocking passengers went viral. The Hong Kong carrier launched an internal investigation and apologized for causing widespread concern. Foreign media has claimed the airline was looking down on mainland Chinese people. A passenger traveling from Chengdu to Hong Kong said that the cabin crew mocked passengers who mistakenly asked for a carpet instead of a blanket. The incident has drawn much criticism on social media in China, with some users calling for a boycott of Cathay Pacific. The Hong Kong chief executive also said the incident had hurt the feelings of compatriots in Hong Kong and the mainland. The airline's CEO apologized for the incident and said he will personally lead a task force to conduct a review into the company's code of conduct.
Well, the First Citizens, the new owner of the Silicon Valley Bank's U.S. operation, is cutting around 500 roles held by former SVB workers. Well, 2 months ago, First Citizens bought the business after SVB's collapse. The failure of SVB, along with 2 other U.S. banks, triggered fears of a more widespread banking crisis, which forced authorities to step in. SVB's business in the U.K. was bought in March by London-headquartered banking giant HSBC for a nominal $1.25 US. According to foreign reports, the job cuts amount to around 3% of the company's total workforce. First Citizens is based in Raleigh, in the U.S. state of North Carolina, and identified as U.S. biggest family-controlled bank. It has been one of the largest buyers of troubled banks. In recent years, under the deal, all 17 former SVB branches opened under the First Citizens brand. In the UK, HSBC buys SVB's British operations in a deal led by the government and also the Bank of England.
Tina Turner, the pioneering rock and roll star who became a pop behemoth in the 1980s, has died aged 83. She had suffered ill health in recent years, being diagnosed with intestinal cancer in 2016 and having a kidney transplant in 2017. She died peacefully in her home near Zurich, Switzerland, and Turner began her career in the 1950s during the early years of rock and roll. With her taste for musical experimentation and bluntly worded ballads, Turner gelled perfectly with a 1980s pop landscape in which music fans valued electronically produced sounds and scorned hippie-era idealism. Nicknamed the Queen of Rock and Roll, Turner won 6 of her 8 Grammy Awards in the 1980s. The decade saw her land a dozen songs on the top 40, including Typical Male, The Best, Private Dancer, and Better Be Good to Me. Her 1988 show in Rio de Janeiro drew 180,000 people, which remains one of the largest concert audiences for any single performer. The superstar was forthcoming about the abuse she suffered from her former husband and guitarist Turner during their marital and musical partnership in the 1960s and 1970s. Turner was survived by her second husband, German music executive Erwin Bach. In 2013, Turner renounced her U.S. citizenship to become a Swiss citizen.
Prima, cut to me, pantomime!
Welcome back, and we are now heading into the world of sports, and we're going to Italy because Sri Lankan athlete Yupun Abekon has been selected for the finals in the athletic championship to be held in Italy.
This is the first 100 meters event he took part in this year. Yupun recorded a time of 10.04 seconds. Afghanistan cricket team, currently in Sri Lanka for a tour, engaged in practices at the SSC grounds today. The 3-match series will be held in Suryavava, Hambantota.
And we're now moving on to IPL news. Mumbai Indians, in fact, comes to the qualifier 2. That's with a victory of 81 runs by beating Lucknow Super Giants, and the match was played in Chennai yesterday.
Winning the toss, Mumbai Indians decided to bat first. Mumbai Indians scored 182 runs with the loss of 8 wickets in their 20 overs. Cameron Green scored 41 runs, while Surya Kumar Yadav scored 33 runs. Naveen Haq picked up 4 wickets for Lucknow. Chasing a target of 183 runs, Lucknow only managed to score 101 runs, and Marcus Stoinis scored 40. Akash Madhwal picked up 5 wickets from Mumbai. Accordingly, Mumbai Indians will face Gujarat Titans in the qualifier 2 to secure a spot in the finals against Chennai.
Wow. Here's the other superstar.
Prima, Patumi, Pantamai.
Well, super stuff from the IPL playing field. And on that note, we end the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs. Take care and good night.
Good night.